Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
In a world where everyone says hello,
they dare to say,
g'day.
Yeah, g'day.
Yeah, g'day.
Yeah, g'day. Yes. Good day. Yeah. G'day. G'day. Yeah. G'day. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Good day.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
Good day.
G'day. Hey. Yeah. G'day. Yeah, g'day, Tim.
Yep, g'day, Leon.
Yeah, g'day, everyone.
Yeah, g'day, everyone.
Welcome to Yeah, G'day.
Episode 3.
The complete guide to Australia. Whether you're across the water or within the border, we have facts and funnies for you, Tim.
We've got at least some facts. The funnies are a negotiable part of the deal. Sometimes we bring them, sometimes we don't. You got to really take a risk and listen to the episode.
Tim, so far we've covered Vegemite and we've covered Platypode.
We did.
And-
In separate episodes, of course.
Yeah,
They
we
don't
didn't cover the platypuses in
platypi,
Vegemite.
yeah.
Although, and you know what? I think that every week we're challenging ourselves to be better and better, and we're trying to find better and better things about Australia, which isn't hard, mind you.
There's a long list.
The only hard thing about this is me. And I would say...
It's true, I can see it from here.
I would say, Tim, that the one struggle that we always have is trying to find something that's enjoyable. That's always enjoyable and is enjoyable across a vast array of things. It's enjoyable every time of the day. Breakfast, lunch, tea. We're always trying to find enjoyable things.
Yeah, sure.
But, Tim, I think I've found another thing about Australia that is this good.
That good.
Crikey, Tim, I think I've found it.
Crikey, let's hear about it
Crikey
then.
indeed.
What is it
Tim,
then, mate?
This week we're going to talk about Steve Irwin.
Steve Irwin.
The Crocodile Hunter.
One of Australia's greatest human beings.
was
I specify that he's
amazing.
a human being because he did a lot of work with animals of different species.
Yes.
Australian animals. And
Yes.
we did cover an Australian animal last week. So I thought, no, we need to be clear. Steve was a human living on the continent/country that is Australia.
He was. He was indeed, Tim. But I know this is actually getting quite silly. I'm getting... I know the listeners are probably getting over it. I'm getting over it. Is that every week we get to these things and we think of a topic, and for the life of me, Tim, I just don't know enough. I grew up with Steve, and I just don't know anything about him.
Well, would you like me to give you a hard science, real historic, scholarly rundown of his life?
That would be good, but I feel like that is missing kind of, I guess, some anecdotes and some other things about his life.
Well, I mean, structurally, it would be probably pleasing to an audience who might be listening to this if I deliver some facts, and then
Yeah.
perhaps you had some anecdotes to share.
And that's funny because, as I said, I don't know anything about him, but I know a lot of anecdotes about him,
It's
which
very
is...
interesting.
Tim, I think, once again, it's a match made in heaven for us to talk about Steve Irwin. It was
And
written
this
in the
has
stars.
been really a delightfully meta line of joke.
I'm
hopefully-
laughing.
Hopefully people haven't tuned out at this point. No, for real though, I do have some, the facts about our good man Steve. Bless him. Miss him every day. I will get to that part
we
though.
do, yeah.
Look, okay.
Here we go.
You ready for me to
I am strapped in.
give you the lowdown? All right. So Steve Irwin, full name, Stephen Robert Irwin. He was born on the 22nd of February 1962 in Essendon, down here in the Melbourne vicinity,
Oh.
Victoria.
There you go.
Yeah, his mum and dad, Bob and Lynn Irwin. Delightfully Australian names. They moved to Queensland in 1970 around the Caloundra area. Nobody's going to know where I'm talking about.
Yes, Caloundra.
If you know where Australia Zoo is, which we'll talk about later, that is the area. So they moved up there, and when they got there, Bob and Lynn, Steve's parents, as I've already mentioned, started the small Queensland Reptile and Fauna Park.
Coincidence?
Fauna means animals.
And reptile means a reptile.
Exactly. So yeah, obviously his father was interested in, I think it's herpetology. I can't remember how you pronounce the word. Basically, it's amphibians and reptiles, and his mother was a wildlife rescue and rehabilitator. So Steve grew up around that sort of stuff his entire life. They ran the park, and he was obviously involved in the park itself. So they moved up there when he was 8. On on his 6th birthday, he spent a lot of time around dangerous animals growing up. So on his 6th birthday, he was given a 12-foot scrub python. That's 4 meters for those using the proper... What's the?
It's not proper. It's not. Our metric system is better.
4 meters is metric.
Oh wait, sorry, yeah, metric. Wait, what did you say? His 12th birthday?
No, his 6th birthday.
His 6th birthday.
12-foot python, 6th birthday. Not a 6-foot python on his 12th birthday.
I'd hate to see what he got on his 12th birthday.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so he got that on his 6th birthday.
Yep.
By the time he was 9, after his dad had talked to him about, reptiles and stuff, he began working with crocodiles. So I think I have it written here.
Yes.
He wrestled his first crocodile at 9. Lucky I wrote it directly after the fact about him being 9. Yeah, so he was 9 years old.
And what Australian, person didn't wrestle their first crocodile at 9 years old? That's the real question.
I think I was 8.5, but I was an early bloomer.
Yeah,
so.
well, yeah. We all got to wrestle a crocodile at some point.
Yeah,
No, that's
absolutely.
seriously insane.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane. So over that time period when he was growing up, it's estimated he helped Bob and Lynn capture and treat and look after about 100 crocodiles over that time.
Amazing.
So obviously they had that park going, and in 1991, which he was, I don't even know how old he would have been at that point.
Yeah.
He took over management of the park, and he called it Australia Zoo.
Amazing.
Which is a zoo I've been to a couple of times. Have you been to one?
I actually haven't been. I think next time that I make it up north, I will definitely be going.
It is a very good zoo, as far as zoos go. Whether you agree with the ethical nature of zoos or not, it's a whole other discussion. But yeah, very, very good, very well done, and they're really committed to conservation, which we'll talk about as well.
Yes.
What else have I got here? So he met his wife Terry in 1991 as well.
Yes.
So Terry, I don't know her last name. Terry Raines.
Raines.
Later Irwin.
Yep.
She was an American naturalist from Eugene, Oregon.
Yeah.
Shout out
So
to
she
our
was
American
naturally
friends.
American, is what you're saying.
She was naturally American. Yes.
Sorry. Yeah. Continue. I cut you off.
Absolutely. So she came over and was visiting wildlife rehabilitation facilities in Australia. She obviously went to the one that Steve ran with his parents there. And met there, and they said it was love at first sight.
Love at first sight of a man in short shorts and khaki.
Oh, I remember the first time I saw him. I was bone hard as well. So
Nothing is sacred on this show.
No, absolutely not. So obviously, yeah, that they married. Like they were engaged. Like 4 months later, got married not long after that. And they had 2 kids. They had Bindi.
Yes.
And Robert.
Yes.
Bob.
Which is, his dad's name and Steve's middle name.
That is
the
correct.
Robert Bob line has been continued.
Yeah, and both of them have kind of been on television pretty recently as well. Bindi grew up on TV, so we saw her quite a bit.
Yeah,
and Bob's been on TV pretty recent.
Bindi ended up with her
too.
own show as well. She had, it was like Bidney's Wildlife, one of those shows. She ended up like, I guess, a kid's version of Steve's stuff.
Bindi the Jungle Girl, I think.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
But she was also quite recently on Dancing with the Stars, now as a young lady.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
And
she was really good.
Yeah, she's like America's sweetheart. Everyone loves her because she's just a nice girl. She's like, she's just a good Australian citizen who can dance.
Yeah.
But did you in your studies see the fact about where Bindi's name comes from?
It's named after a crocodile.
Yes.
One of Steve's favorite
Yeah, it was a
crocodiles?
crocodile, I think it was. And then her middle name is Sue, which is named after the dog Suey.
I don't know who Suey is, but
I think it's Suey. It's Sui. Come on, Suey, the dog. That was the dog that Steve took everywhere with him. It was his companion
I
dog.
honestly don't remember that. But cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anyway, please, no, go on with your facts, whatever.
Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of his family life. That's the lowdown on where he comes from, where he was,
Yep.
who Steve was. Obviously, he's most known, and we'll talk more about his other credits, but for Croc Hunter. So Crocodile Hunter was a television show that ran in Australia. Started in 1996, was exported internationally in 1997, and became wildly popular.
Yes.
Wildly.
Yes.
And ran until 2006. And if anyone's ever seen the show, Steve was incredibly passionate.
Enthusiastic.
He copped quite a bit of flack, and people made fun of him because of his enthusiasm. But that was actually kind of part of his charm and appeal, I found, and I think the rest of the world found as well, was he was so excited to do some crazy things with animals. and to teach people about them. And yeah, that's how the show really took off. And
He was almost like a punk rock version of David Attenborough.
yeah,
He went out into the wild and did the same stuff, showed the world what was there, and made people made people not afraid of scary animals, but showed people that there was another side to the animals, talked about the importance of the animals. But he did it and he got out there and he was wrestling them to show you them. He was catching snakes. He was getting bitten. He was getting spit at with venom. It was all...
Speaking of David Attenborough, actually, not long after he passed away, Terry, his wife, was invited to... There was an award presentation or some kind of induction for David Attenborough, recognizing his work. And she mentioned that David Attenborough obviously was a huge inspiration to Steve. And he really loved it. And David Attenborough actually, in his speech of accepting his award, acknowledged Steve as well, and mentioned that he'd done great things for conservation around the world. So that's pretty
amazing.
Cool.
Yeah, it's
awesome. So yeah, he's a major conservationist. I got a list. He started like 1 million foundations.
Yep.
The Steve Irwin Conservation Foundation, which is actually now known as Wildlife Warriors.
Yep.
He helped found the International Crocodile Rescue, Lynn Irwin Memorial Fund, which was named after his mother.
Yep.
And the Ironbark Station Wildlife Rehabilitation Facility.
Amazing.
Yeah. So that was his life. He was on television, and we'll talk about some of the other TV stuff he did.
Yep.
And he did a bunch of advertisements in Australia and stuff. Mostly, I think there was one about customs. And he was, basically everything he did always had that conservation focus.
Yeah.
He was very dedicated to making sure that Australian wildlife was preserved in its best form. And he did the same thing overseas.
Yep.
But on September the 4th, 2006, Steve was at Bat Reef, which is near Port Douglas, way up north in Queensland, doing... they were filming a documentary which was ironically called Ocean's Deadliest, and they were filming kind of in the shallows somewhere, and he saw a stingray, followed it, thinking it'd be great to get some footage of the stingray getting away. Sadly, the stingray did not like what he did, turned around and stabbed him with the barb that they have. Apparently, it was pretty brutal, and there is footage, but the footage has been destroyed.
It's been all destroyed, yeah.
It's been destroyed. It was given to Terry and the family, and they destroyed it. Nobody's seen it, which is good, because who wants to see that? But yeah, he didn't die on the scene. They thought it was only a lung puncture, but later they took him to hospital. I think he died once he got there, yeah.
Yeah, they found that it had pierced his heart.
Yeah, very, very sad. And it was actually the outpouring in Australia and all over the world, I guess, was kind of extraordinary. I can still remember.
Do you remember the day?
Yeah, I don't remember the day him dying. The day I remember is, I remember on the news that there was John Howard talked about it. A bunch of people came out and talked about how John Howard, being the Prime Minister at the time, for those who aren't aware, talked about how sad it was and, what a great man he was. But then on September 20th, obviously, they had the memorial.
Yep, the public memorial, yeah.
At the Australia Zoo, there's the Crocoseum, which is this big 5,500 seater venue where they do these crocodile shows, educating on crocodiles, and they hold the meat above the pool and the croc jumps out. It's actually really cool to watch. If you get up there, you should definitely give it a watch. But they did a service there, and so I think the Prime Minister, John Howard, spoke. His dad, Bob, and his daughter, Bindi, spoke. It was so sad.
She was so well composed from what I remember, though.
Absolutely. So, and a couple of other people talked. Anthony from the Wiggles, who we'll one day talk about, or Wiggles, Australia's greatest export. And the saddest part, and I remember actually crying while watching this on the television, because it was broadcast on television all around Australia. Was John Williamson, a very famous and respected country musician here in Australia, saying True Blue, which is just a fundamentally Australian song.
And a beautifully Australian song.
Beautiful, beautiful song as well. And he sang that while Steve's best mate packed up his truck and drove it out of the stadium, and I'm getting prickles up my neck talking about it
As
because
am
it was just so. It was a really moving kind of tribute to Steve and everything he'd done, and
Yeah, it was like it was almost like, I guess, if it was in reverse and John Williamson was writing the song, I guess after Steve had become the thing, it's like it feels like he was the perfect person for that song, and that song was like written about him because
absolutely,
it was, It's a great song. I also feel emotional. Tim and I regularly talk about because Tim and I, were singing around the house, and we regularly were just randomly singing True Blue, or I Know I Am sometimes. And every time we always automatically link it back to that memorial, and we always go, "Do you remember how sad it was and how good it was?"
That song will forever be linked to the Steve Irwin memorial.
Yeah.
When I went, actually, I ended up going to Australia Zoo probably with my family maybe a year after he passed away.
Right.
And it was really touching as well because he drove the truck out of the Crocoseum and they kind of parked it there.
Yeah.
So you can actually still see the truck. And then everyone that attended, they had these kind of things that you could ride on.
Right.
And some of the messages people had written that was really touching as well.
And that's still there.
I think it's still there. Yeah. I think it's somewhere in the park. Yeah.
I was going to say, like, in terms of the day, I guess it was the day after, but I still remember being in the car and hearing the news on the radio. I that's my vivid memory whenever anyone talks about Steve Irwin and his passing, and that it's always, I remember being in the car on the way to school. It's like, what was it, 2007, 2006, 2007, 2006?
When he passed?
Yeah.
2006, yeah.
So 2006, so I was in year 8 or something, so, I very much remember being in the car with Mum and two. Anyway,
that's the sad stuff, but let's talk about Steve as the man he was. He was incredibly enthusiastic. He had his catchphrase, Crikey, and his catchphrase, his khaki shorts, which were always dangerously close to, to showing a nut, I'm sure.
Yeah. His blonde mullet and everything. He had beautiful blonde hair.
Oh, yeah. Luscious hair.
So, let's, as you say, we'll move on. Like, that is his life. You got to tell the whole story and the whole picture. Yeah. They're all carrying on the zoo, and as I said, Bindi and Bob, as well. You were saying Bob's going to appear on TV. I think he's also getting pretty social media famous as well. They're very much their father and their mother's children in terms of their nature and what they do for nature.
Definitely.
But Steve, as you said, he with Crocodile Hunter, I don't know if you saw this in your facts. The funny thing the interesting thing about Crocodile Hunter is that instead of going on a honeymoon, him and Terry went out to kind of make a documentary.
Right. And
that documentary ended up being kind of, I guess, the pilot that they sold the idea of Crocodile Hunter, and they started making the series. Yeah, so their honeymoon was making a documentary about
that's pretty cool.
Nature. Yeah. But he appeared everywhere in America. Like, that was the big thing about Steve Irwin. It wasn't just big in Australia. He was huge in America and huge overseas. Because I think most people looked at him and went, what is this guy doing? Because he's jumping on the back of crocodiles. And as I said, another memory, because we used to watch him, I think it was most weekend mornings, we'd watch him on Animal Planet, the Foxtel channel. And I remember him getting spat, I think...
By a cobra?
Yeah, I can't remember if it hit him in the eyes or just in the face or that, but it's super toxic. Obviously, he had the right stuff to cure him, but it wasn't fake or made up. He went out there and those animals were real, and they knew that they could do stuff.
Yeah, I can just... always have burned into my mind, just the images of him. He'd always grab the snake by the tail. Yeah. He'd just be out in the middle of nowhere and just find a wild snake, pick it up so you could see it in front of the camera, and then also him and his team would relocate crocs, and it was hectic stuff to watch.
And that's probably an important thing you've said there with the relocation, is that I think a lot of people probably watch his stuff, and I know that times I've seen his stuff and you look at it and you go, oh, is that right? Should he do that in the wild? But as I said, number one, he's always handling them appropriately and properly, and he's never hurting them.
Oh, definitely.
And he's showing you about them, but also in terms of his zoo, zoo is sometimes not a good word in general, because zoos his are more, I think, conservation-y and rehabilitation-y. So they're kind of, it's helping animals. But he was always saving animals, and if there was an animal, supposedly there's a story that when he was a kid growing up, if he would always be late to school, a lot of the times he'd be telling his mum to stop so he could help a lizard off the side of the road and stuff like that.
Yeah,
right. But anyway, so he appeared on shows like Jay Leno all the time, and I remember seeing him on those kind of talk shows where he'd appear and take some kind of wildlife and bring a crocodile into the studio, and that would always blow people's minds. In 2001, he appeared in a cameo role in Dr. Dolittle 2, which I don't remember.
Oh, it's the best of the Doctor Dolittle series, of which there are 3, I think.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But supposedly the storyline is there's an alligator who warns Dolittle that he knows Irwin is going to grab him and is prepared to attack when he does. But Dr. Dolittle fails to warn Steve Irwin in time. So I assume Steve Irwin gets bitten by an alligator in that movie.
Yeah.
Let alone did he appear in other people's films. In 2002, the Crocodile Hunter Collision Course was released.
Oh.
It was supposedly the storyline was that Steve Irwin mistakes some CIA agents for poachers, and he's trying to stop them from capturing a crocodile, which, unknown to him, has swallowed a tracking transmitter.
What a wonderful premise for a movie, and let me tell you, that movie does not hold up.
No.
It's not
However,
good, but
it
was
did
fun.
win the Best Family Feature Film Award for Comedy Film at the Young Artist Awards.
Ah, fantastic. An award I've never heard of.
The film was produced on a budget of about $12 million US, and it's
Whoa.
grossed $33 million.
Ah, well, it was successful, so good on him.
Yeah, to promote the film, Irwin was featured in an animated short produced by Animax Entertainment for Intermix.
Fabulous.
Yes, I'm just reading stuff on Wikipedia, so sometimes I don't check what I'm reading before I get to the end of it, because that was a boring sentence.
Fantastic.
In 2002, with our powers combined of the greatest Australian greats together, Steve Irwin and his family appeared in the Wiggles Wiggly Safari.
Oh, and that does hold up.
That definitely holds
That
up.
definitely holds up.
Set in Australia Zoo itself, and it featured singing and dancing inspired by Australian wildlife. So that's another great thing. And again, considering the large nature of export when it comes to the Wiggles, I just moved my hand around the room to show the vastness.
It's incredibly vast. Let me tell you, from that hand gesture, you cannot underestimate
It's
the vastness.
Again, it's so good for Australia. Steve was also part of an advertising campaign for the Garn. For those of you listening that don't know about the Garn is a passenger train that operates between Adelaide and Alice Springs and Darwin. So it's like a great cross-Australia train.
Yeah, it kind of goes right down the middle.
Yeah, I'd love to go on it sometime. And because of that campaign, there was a Pacific National NR class locomotive named Steve Irwin as part of the campaign, which is wonderful.
What a thing to have.
What train are you catching? Catching the 12 o'clock Steve Irwin. See you later.
Yeah, fantastic.
In 2005, again, another big thing happened. He provided his voice for the 2006 animated film Happy Feet. He was the elephant seal named Trev.
What a great film. I was actually looking at his credits of everything that he's been in.
Yeah.
And it's always as himself, like just all down the page and just one Trev.
Yeah.
Which is somehow so Australian.
Yeah. Now, as you notice, I said in 2005 he did that for a 2006 film. So the film was actually released after he'd passed away. So they dedicated the film to him. And supposedly there's an incomplete scene. I don't know if I've actually seen this, featuring him doing the voice of an albatross where he essentially plays himself, which in my head what I'm envisaging is quite funny, an albatross being Steve Irwin.
I would love to see that.
It was restored for DVD release, so again, we'll try and find that clip this week and get that out to everyone.
Yes, definitely.
Again, just running through in terms of awards and accolades and stuff, in 2002, Australia Zoo was voted Queensland's top tourist attraction, which is awesome. Like, it's great that it was his zoo that has that.
Definitely.
And again, the United States bringing people over here as a tourist destination. Back in terms of him being a great guy, in November 2003, so he was filming this documentary on sea lions off the coast of Baja, California Peninsula in Mexico. It's Baja. Baja, maybe.
I think my Spanish is pretty ordinary.
So, and they heard on their boat's radio that these 2 scuba divers had gone missing. So they completely halted filming to help in the search. So they went on the search and...
Oh, wow, okay.
I think one of the kayakers from Steve's team actually found... it turns out the only living, survivor of this kind of accident or whatever happened there. They brought them back to Steve's boat and the guy didn't even recognize Steve Irwin. So, I think it's... again, a testament to his Australian nature and his own nature.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's just
dropped
help people
everything
out.
to make sure that everyone was okay.
In 1997, while on a fishing trip in Queensland with his dad, they found a new species of turtle.
Ooh.
This turtle he was given the honour of naming the turtle, and this turtle is known as Irwin's turtle, which he named after his family, not himself. The scientific name is Elsea irwini.
Irwini?
Yes. Now, that might sound good, but there's one other animal that Steve has had the pleasure of naming.
Right.
And the name is the best name of any animal of all time.
Okay.
So, Steve found a species of air-breathing land snail.
Okay.
Soak that in for a second, first of all.
Right.
Now, you've got Irwin's turtle, Elsea irwini. The snail is actually called Crikey Steve Irwin.
Fantastic.
I love
really,
it.
really
love it.
great scientific stuff.
I'm going to try and find a picture of that guy. Again, just quick rattle off of awards. You know, I know I'm going quickly, but there's a lot to cover when it comes to the stuff that
so
he
much.
did. But a couple of quick awards as well. He was awarded the Centenary Medal by the Australian government in 2001 for his service to global conservation and to Australian tourism. In 2004, he was recognised as Tourism Export of the Year. He was nominated in 2004 for Australia of the Year, however, didn't win that year because cricket captain Steve Waugh won, which, you know, travesty, really.
Stevie.
Steve deserved it.
Stephen. Stevothy.
Stivothy. And then he was to be named, before his death, he was to be named an adjunct professor at the University of Queensland's School of Integrative.
Integrative.
Or integrative? Who knows?
I don't know. Integrative. I think that sounds right.
Integrative. Biology. Now, obviously, then he passed away. So on the 14th of November 2007, Irwin was awarded that professorship posthumously. So that's pretty cool.
That was cool.
In May 2007, the government of Rwanda, I think you're not meant to pronounce the R too hard, so I'm just kind of sitting back on that one.
Rightio, mate.
They announced that they would name a baby gorilla after Irwin as a tribute to his work in wildlife conservation. So I'm assuming little Steve rather than little Irwin. And then in 2015, Irwin was a posthumous recipient of the Queensland Greats Award, an award I haven't heard of but sounds great.
Queensland great though.
Queensland
so
great.
not
Not
amazing.
great, no, but
just
he is
like Queensland great.
And then, on the 22nd of June 2017, supposedly, as per usual, we're getting our stuff from the most reliable source, which is the internet, and specifically Wikipedia. Steve, it was announced that posthumously, again, would be honoured with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Oh, really? He's got a star on the...
Well, that was announced in June. I don't know if it happened. So
when was this announced? June of what
June
year?
this year.
Okay.
Yeah. So it possibly wouldn't have happened if it's only been announced.
Why is it happening
shortly.
so long after he passed?
I don't know. I think there's a lot of...
It's like 11 years since he died.
I think there's a lot of criteria that people have to meet, though, like to get a star on the Hall of Fame.
Hall of Walk of Star of Fame.
And my last fact about Stephen Robert Irwin is...
Stephen with a PH.
Yeah, PH. Is the fact that on the 15th of November, it is Steve Irwin Day. It's an annual international event honouring the life and legacy of the one and only crocodile hunter, Steve Irwin.
Mr. Steve Irwin.
So put that in your diaries, pencil that in, write that down.
No, write it in with permanent marker. Make sure it stains
November.
the next couple of pages as well.
Tattoo it on your skin.
Yeah, let's not be silly.
Oh, sorry. Is that silly, is it, Tim?
Yeah.
There you go. That's Steve.
That's Steve. That's his life in facts. But I think, Steve, he was kind of a talking point in every Australian household. And from what it sounds like, he was sort of a similar figure all around the world. But I remember, having so many conversations as we grew up about what Steve did with mum and dad, because the show would be on, and you know, there was always remarks of, "Oh, that's crazy," and that sort of stuff. But yeah, his enthusiasm was incredibly infectious, and taught us a lot about Australian wildlife and wildlife around the world as well, and you know, doing things in a conservative and preservative way. He was a big proponent of conservative tourism and things like that. And those khaki shorts, mate.
The khaki shorts are really what set it all off.
I wish I could pull them off like he could.
Not
pull them off.
No, not pull them off.
You know.
I was going to add something and now I've forgotten what it was. But yeah, he is great. He was wonderful. Steve Irwin, we salute you.
Thank you for your inspiring words.
Tim, what's that? Did you hear that sound?
What sound was that?
Little sound. You know what that sound means?
What?
It's the Harold Holt Watch. All right, Tim. Harold Holt Watch.
It's the Harold Holt Watch. What do we got?
Well, we have a letter this week,
Yeah,
and I'm going to read it to you
please do.
right now. So, dear Timberly and Leonathan.
We'll give you a pass on that one.
Yeah,
Yep,
that's
sure.
close. G'day from Bali.
What are you doing in Bali?
You're about to find out.
I know what he's doing in Bali.
You're going to find out real soon. My name is Derek, and hi Derek. And I have recently opened up a shop that sells bintang shirts in Bali. All right, good on you, Derek.
You're going to be doing a good trade, let me tell you that much. You're going to be selling a couple of shirts.
After coming here to surf every 2 weeks for 2 years, I realised it was time to stay. And what better job could I ask for? Surfing every day in all the bintang shirts I could ever need. Yeah. Anyway, that's enough about me. That is enough about you, Derek. The other night, I was at one of my favourite restaurants, the Bali Belly.
Ooh.
And I bumped into a bloke on the way to the toilet. Mm-hmm. I caught his eye for just a moment, and I could have sworn it was Harold Holt himself.
Really?
But by the time I had realised, he had already disappeared.
Oh.
Anyway,
Interesting.
I just thought you fellas should know. Also, any tips for how to get rid of a nasty thong, the shoes that is, tan. Have a good one, Derek.
Thanks for that, Derek. Look, we really appreciate that. I'm glad you're over there in Bali having a good time.
Yep.
Say hello to every Australian in the history of the world while they're over there on their holiday.
Yep.
Hello,
everyone.
mate. We appreciate you writing in. I'm actually going to ask a favour of Derek on this one, though. Maybe put up a free Bintang T-shirt if Harold comes in to claim it.
Derek, we will...
Because he'll definitely come in.
Derek, we'll pay for any free shirts that you have to give out, because hopefully it'll be just one.
Yeah, if you've got a deal going on, maybe we can get one for Harold and then one for each of us as well.
Yeah.
Because I don't have one. I've never been to Bali. I'm probably one of the 0.1% in Australia that hasn't been.
I also haven't been to Bali, therefore do not have a Bintang shirt. If anyone wants to send us a Bintang shirt, it's poboxyesterday.com.
Sounds like a legitimate address.
But Tim, what about his question? How's he going to get rid of a nasty
thong
tan?
Oh, mate. The thong tan is a curse and a blessing, I think. You can tell a man's wisdom and age by the thong tan on his feet.
It's like tree ring dating.
It absolutely is. The gradiency, is that a word? The gradient between that white under thong and the leathery skin around it.
The weathered.
Yeah. Look, mate, I say don't get rid of the thong tan. Embrace it. This is part of who you are. You're an Aussie bloke living in a sunny island, I've heard.
With all the other Aussie blokes.
With all of the other Aussie blokes. So, no, just embrace it, I think.
Although I think if he does want to get rid of it, the solution is just socks, mate. Just put some socks on with your thongs.
No, because then you're going to get a sock tan.
Yeah, but a sock tan you can cover with some longer pants. It's a whole scheme. It's a whole situation.
It's a whole thing.
Derek, put on your rash vest, go for a surf, enjoy some bintang, wear a bintang shirt, and
get
have
your
a good one,
board, mate. Yeah, no, thanks for writing in. His boogie board.
Oh, I thought you said his bully, and I was like, what, isn't that something? What's that?
I don't know.
Right.
Well,
Timothy.
there you go. Fabulous.
Timberly.
Yes.
If you will.
As Leonathan? Is that what he called you?
I think Leonathan was what he called me. Tim, as we get to wrap up the show, before we wrap up all the things, you and I have a bit of an announcement.
Yeah, we have 2 announcements, singular.
We're pregnant and we're not pregnant. Those are the 2 announcements.
Yes.
No, they're not. So, Tim and I have been hinting at a couple of things lately. We've been talking about stuff in the pipeline for each of us individually. So, Tim and I have been going to all these things lately for this event that I'm about to tell you about. And it's very funny because we rock up together and we regularly have to say, well, we do something together. We do a podcast together, but we're sold separately. So, and no one believes us. But Tim and I are both doing our own show in the Melbourne Fringe Festival.
We certainly are. 2017 Melbourne Fringe Festival, which
everything is art.
Everything is art for 2.5 weeks.
Yes.
And we went to the launch party on Thursday evening.
We did.
And what a party!
I got very drunk.
You did. It was quite vocal, ladies and gentlemen.
Whatever.
Quite vocal. It was funny though, so that was good. So we both have shows. You are, of course, doing a stand-up show.
Of course, I'm the funniest man alive.
Naturally.
Yes, I am doing talk show with myself. It's world premiere, and I'll be focusing a little bit on my Crohn's disease and the silly things that happened for me. That's playing on the 25th and the 26th of September at Hare Hole, which is Hares and Hyena on Johnson Street in Fitzroy, Victoria, Australia. See you there.
Fantastic.
Tim,
that's bound to be a bloody good laugh, isn't it?
Tim is obviously doing a singing show about one of his favourite people.
A singing show is the scientific terminology. Us laymen call it a cabaret. I'm doing a cabaret. It's called Jim with a T, about a hero of mine, Jim Henson, who if you don't know,
should
tut.
Go see the show.
Yeah, go see the show, and I'll tell you all about him. He was the creator of the Muppets and hugely influential in the success of Sesame Street. And fun little fact, he helped create Yoda and things like that. So incredibly important in television history, movie history, puppetry history, and my life. And I'm doing a tribute show where I talk about his life and I sing the songs of his characters, Rainbow Connection, Being Green, things of that nature. It's going to be, excuse me, had a burp there.
Got so excited, Jim.
It's going to be fun. I'm nervous as heck. Come along. We'll post details about where it all is. It's obviously in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Where it is, where you can buy tickets.
Yep.
We'd love to see you. If we've never met you before, which seems possible.
Now's the time.
Come to the show. Say g'day. Say yeah g'day.
Yeah g'day. And
we'll
get
say
10% off. No, wait. That's
sorry,
not the deal.
why are you saying that to us?
Yeah.
And then we'll figure it out and we might have a beer with you.
It's if anyone's listening from Melbourne Fringe, or if anyone's listening that's interested, we both definitely have written our shows completely, and they are fully formed pieces that are ready to go.
We're a month off. That's fine. We're fine. Everything's fine.
Anyone? Hey, just a quick question to our listeners. Anyone good at writing a comedy show? Anyone out there? Anyone?
Yeah. Look, anyway, that's coming up in September.
Yes.
My show's the 16th to the 23rd of September in North Melbourne at the Metropolitan Hotel.
Yes.
Yours is the 25th and 26th at Hares and Hyenas, the Hare Hole, as they call it in the Fringe vocab, which is in Fitzroy.
Yeah.
But we'll post links to all of that.
And that'll be great.
This episode has been Steve Irwin.
It has been.
You can follow Yeagerday at Yeagerday Podcast pretty much everywhere. Just go to the website.
Yep, www.yeagerday.com.
Absolutely. Please share us.
Yep.
If you like our stuff.
Yep, share our episodes. There's 3 new ones out now. Like there's episode 1, 2, and 3. So that's a nice little bundle, a little trilogy.
Yeah.
Make sure you listen to us on whatever you use on your Android or SoundCloud or iTunes, and make sure you subscribe to those things. Rate and review us. We haven't had a review in a while. Give us a bit of a review, mate. Give us a bit of an iTunes review or something.
And why don't we plug our own personal stuff? I believe on Facebook and Instagram I am at T for Jim.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
I believe on Facebook and Instagram I am Leon Huxtable Comedy, and I believe on Twitter I am at Leon Huxtable with capital L and capital H.
Yeah, so you can follow our personal exploits and get to know us as individuals.
Yeah, get to know my insides outside.
Okay.
Thanks as always to the wonderful Taylor Smith for making us look so good.
Has a man ever been so sexy as a cartoon head?
No.
Probably. And thanks to Curtis for the intro, outro-duction music, and of course our Harold Holt watch music. And thank you for listening.
Hope to see you again next week, but for this week, that's it. So as always, yeah, g'day, Tim.
Yeah, g'day, Leon.
Yeah, g'day, everyone.
Yeah, g'day, everyone. Catch you on the flippity flop.
Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.